My mechanic scammed me for $67,000 over 8 years. I'm retired auto engineer who destroyed his business. My mechanic told me my car needed constant expensive repairs. For 8 years, I trusted him completely. Then I discovered he'd been replacing perfectly good parts, inventing fake problems, and billing me for work he never did. Total stolen, $67,000. He thought I was just another elderly woman who didn't understand cars. He forgot I spent 37 years as an automotive engineer designing engines for Ford Motor Company. I'm Ruth Anderson, 75 years old. This is the story of how my mechanic ran an 8-year scam targeting elderly customers, and how I exposed his fraud, destroyed his business, and sent him to prison for 6 years. My husband George died in 2014 from Alzheimer's disease. After caring for him through 7 years of decline, I was exhausted and alone. George had always handled car maintenance, oil changes, repairs, inspections. He took care of everything. I drove the car, he maintained it. After he died, I needed a mechanic I could trust. A neighbor recommended Mike's Auto Repair, a small shop owned by Mike Patterson. He's honest, fair prices, does good work. I've used him for years. I brought my 2012 Honda Accord to Mike in March 2014 for an oil change. Mike was 48, friendly, professional. His shop was clean and organized. He explained everything clearly. Mrs. Anderson, your car's in good shape, just needs the oil change. I'll have you out of here in 30 minutes. Simple, professional, reasonably priced. Over the next few months, I returned to Mike for routine maintenance. He was always pleasant, never pushy, seemed honest. Then in August 2014, Mike told me I had a problem. Mrs. Anderson, during your oil change today, I noticed your brake pads are worn down to about 20% remaining. You'll need new brakes soon, probably within the next month or two. I can do the job for $450, parts and labor. I didn't know much about brake maintenance. Are you sure? The car stops fine. Brakes can seem fine until they fail suddenly. At 20%, you're in the danger zone. I'd recommend replacing them before winter. I trusted Mike. Okay. Go ahead and replace them. $450 seemed reasonable for brake work. In November 2014, Mike called me. Mrs. Anderson, I was doing your oil change and noticed your transmission fluid is dark and contaminated. Your transmission needs to be flushed and refilled. This is important. Dirty transmission fluid can cause major damage. The service costs $380. I authorized it. Another $380. In February 2015, your battery is failing, needs replacement, $195. In May 2015, your coolant system needs flushing, contaminated coolant, $280. In August 2015, your serpentine belt is cracked and could break any time, needs replacement, $340. Every few months, Mike found something else wrong, something that needed immediate attention, something expensive. I trusted him. He was professional, explained everything, never seemed pushy, and I didn't understand cars well enough to question him. By 2016, Mike was finding problems every single visit. Your spark plugs are fouled, needs replacement. Your air filter is clogged, reducing fuel efficiency. Your shocks are worn, affecting handling. Your fuel injectors need cleaning. Your catalytic converter is failing. Each repair costs between $250 and $800. I was spending $3,000 to $5,000 per year on car repairs for a relatively new Honda Accord. But Mike always had an explanation. Mrs. Anderson, you don't drive much, and that actually causes problems. Cars need to be driven regularly to keep systems functioning properly. Low-mileage cars often have more issues than high-mileage cars. That sounded plausible. I only drove about 4,000 miles per year. Grocery shopping, church, doctor appointments. In 2017, the repairs got more expensive. Your transmission is slipping, needs rebuild, $2,400. Your timing belt is worn. If it breaks, it'll destroy your engine, $890. Your exhaust system has multiple leaks, needs replacement, $1,650. I was spending $8,000 to $9,000 per year now. My fixed retirement income was stretched thin, but Mike always said the same thing. Mrs. Anderson, I know these repairs are expensive, but fixing problems now prevents catastrophic failures later. A new engine will cost $6,000 to $8,000. A new transmission is $4,000 to $5,000. These repairs are actually saving you money. I trusted him. He'd been my mechanic for 3 years. He'd never pushed me to buy anything unnecessary. He seemed genuinely concerned about my safety and my car's reliability. By 2019, I'd spent over $40,000 on repairs for my 2012 Honda Accord. That's when something strange happened. My niece Emily came to visit in March 2019. She's 32, works as an automotive technician at a dealership. Emily saw my car and said, "Aunt Ruth, your Accord looks great. These are such reliable cars. You must barely have to do anything to maintain it." Actually, I've had constant problems. I've spent over $40,000 on repairs in the past 5 years. Emily looked shocked. $40,000 on a 7-year-old Honda Accord? That's impossible. These cars rarely need anything beyond routine maintenance. What kinds of repairs? I showed Emily my receipts from Mike's Auto Repair, hundreds of invoices over 5 years. Emily read through them, her expression growing darker. "Aunt Ruth, this doesn't make sense. You had your transmission rebuilt in 2017, then replaced completely in 2018. That's insane. And you've had your brakes replaced 4 times in 5 years. Brakes last 40,000 to 70,000 miles. You only drive 4,000 miles per year. Your brakes should last 10 to 15 years. Mike said low mileage causes problems. That's partially true for batteries and fuel systems, but not for brakes, transmissions, or timing belts. Something is very wrong here. Emily asked to inspect my car. I let her. She spent 30 minutes looking under the hood, under the car, checking various systems. When she finished, her face was angry. "Aunt Ruth, your transmission fluid is clean and full, and it's the original factory fluid. Mike claimed he rebuilt your transmission in 2017 and replaced it in 2018. If either was true, the fluid would be different. He didn't do that work." "What? And your brake pads have at least 60% remaining. Mike replaced them 6 months ago, but these pads look at least 2 years old. Either he installed used pads, or he didn't replace them at all. I don't understand. Your timing belt is original equipment. The stamp on it shows it was manufactured in 2012. Mike charged you $890 to replace it in 2017. He didn't. It's the original belt." I felt sick. "Are you saying Mike didn't do the work?" "I'm saying Mike either didn't do the work and charged you anyway, or he replaced good parts with other used parts and pocketed the money for new parts. Either way, it's fraud." I sat down, shaking. I trusted him. Emily hugged me. "I know. That's what makes this so evil. He targeted you because you're elderly and don't understand cars. Let me document everything. Then we're filing a police report." Over the next week, Emily thoroughly inspected my car and researched my repair history. Her findings were damning. Transmission, never rebuilt or replaced, despite 2,403,200 charges. Timing belt, never replaced despite 890 charge brakes. Replaced once in 2015, but Mike charged for replacements in 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. Catalytic converter. Never replaced despite $1,850 charge exhaust system. Never replaced despite $1,650 charge serpentine belt. Replaced once, but Mike charged for replacements 3 times. Minimum of $22,000 in fraudulent charges for work never performed. But it got worse. Emily found that Mike had been charging me for premium synthetic oil at $95 per change, 4 times per year. But the oil cap sticker showed conventional oil, which cost $35. $60 stolen per oil change, 4 times per year, 5 years, $1,200 in fake oil charges. Emily also discovered Mike charged me $340 for an engine diagnostic scan in 2018 when I complained about a check engine light. The Honda dealership charges $125 for the same service, and there's no record of what Mike found or fixed. Total estimated fraud, at least $35,000. But I'd paid Mike approximately $67,000 total over 5 years. Even accounting for legitimate maintenance, Mike had likely stolen $45,000 to $50,000 from me. I was devastated, furious, betrayed. Emily said, "Aunt Ruth, we need to report this. But I also think we should investigate whether Mike is doing this to other people." That's when I remembered something. I'd spent 37 years as an automotive engineer at Ford. I'd designed engines, transmissions, fuel systems. I'd written technical manuals. I'd trained mechanics. I didn't know how to maintain my own car, but I knew how cars work. I knew how to read technical specifications. I knew how to document mechanical evidence. Emily, I want to investigate Mike properly before we report him. If he's scamming other people, I want evidence to expose everything. We created a plan. First, Emily documented every fraudulent repair on my car with photographs, part numbers, and technical specifications proving the work was never done. Second, I started researching Mike's auto repair. I checked online reviews. Most were positive, but I found some concerning patterns. Several elderly customers mentioned expensive ongoing repairs. One customer said, "Mike always finds something wrong." 2 customers complained about repairs that didn't fix the problem. One reviewer said their mechanic's son told them Mike's repairs weren't necessary. Red flags everywhere. I joined a local senior citizens Facebook group and posted, "Does anyone use Mike's auto repair? I'm looking for a new mechanic and want recommendations." 15 people responded. 10 said Mike was great. 5 said they'd had problems. I messaged those 5 privately. 3 agreed to talk to me. All 3 were elderly women. All 3 had spent $30,000 to $60,000 over several years on constant repairs. One woman, Dorothy Chen, age 78, was particularly helpful. "Ruth, I spent $54,000 over 6 years on my Toyota Camry. Mike always found something wrong. Eventually, my son took my car to a Toyota dealership for a second opinion. The dealership said most of Mike's repairs were unnecessary, and several expensive repairs Mike claimed to have done were never actually performed." "Did you report him?" "My son wanted to, but I was embarrassed. I felt stupid for being scammed. We just stopped going to Mike and never went back." Dorothy gave me contact information for her son, James Chen, who worked as an insurance adjuster. I called James. "I think Mike Patterson scammed your mother. He scammed me too. I want to investigate whether this is systematic fraud. Will you help?" James was eager. "Absolutely. If Mike's running a scam targeting elderly people, I want him prosecuted." James had connections with local law enforcement and knew how to investigate fraud. We organized the evidence. My car documented $35,000 minimum in fraudulent charges. Dorothy Chen estimated $40,000 in fraudulent charges. 2 other elderly women, approximately $25,000 and $18,000 in suspected fraud. 4 victims, approximately $118,000 stolen. But we needed more evidence. We needed to prove Mike was systematically targeting elderly customers. I came up with a plan. A sting operation. I'd go back to Mike's auto repair with my car, but this time Emily would inspect my car immediately before I took it to Mike, documenting the condition of every system. Then I'd ask Mike to do a complete vehicle inspection and tell me everything that needed repair. We'd see what Mike claimed was wrong, compare it to Emily's inspection, and document his lies. In June 2019, Emily thoroughly inspected my car. She photographed everything, documented fluid conditions, checked every belt, every brake pad, every filter. Her conclusion? Your car needs nothing except an oil change. Everything else is in good condition. The next day, I drove to Mike's auto repair. "Hi, Mike. I'd like an oil change and a complete vehicle inspection. I'm worried about potential problems." Mike smiled warmly. "Of course, Mrs. Anderson. I'll do a thorough inspection. Should take about an hour. I waited in the lobby. After 90 minutes, Mike came out with a clipboard. Mrs. Anderson, I found several issues. Your brake fluid is contaminated and needs flushing. $180. Your air filter is extremely dirty and needs replacement. $65. Your cabin air filter is also clogged. $55. And your serpentine belt has several cracks and should be replaced soon. $340. I'd recommend doing all of this today. Total cost would be $640, plus the oil change. I looked at him carefully. Are you sure about the belt? You replaced it last year. Belts can deteriorate quickly, especially in this heat. I'm seeing significant cracking. It could fail any time. Mike was lying. Emily had inspected the serpentine belt yesterday. It was perfect. Okay. Do the oil change. I'll think about the other repairs and get back to you. Mike looked disappointed, but completed the oil change. I paid $95 for synthetic oil. I drove straight to Emily's shop. She drained the oil Mike just put in. It was conventional oil, not synthetic. Mike charged me for premium synthetic and used cheap conventional. Emily also checked everything Mike claimed was wrong. Brake fluid, clean and clear, no contamination. Air filter, slightly dusty, but completely functional, nowhere near extremely dirty. Cabin air filter, clean serpentine belt, perfect condition, no cracks anywhere. Mike had lied about everything. $640 in unnecessary repairs, plus $60 stolen on the fake synthetic oil. We'd caught him red-handed, but I wanted more evidence. I wanted to prove systematic fraud. Over the next 3 months, I recruited 5 other elderly women from my church to take their cars to Mike for inspections. We called it Operation Honest Mechanic. Each woman had her car inspected by Emily first, then took it to Mike for a complete inspection. Mike told all 5 women their cars needed immediate, expensive repairs. Woman 1, 2014 Camry, 35,000 miles. Needed $840 in repairs according to Mike. Emily's inspection needed nothing except oil change. Woman 2, 2010 Accord, 62,000 miles. Needed $1,240 in repairs. Emily needed new wiper blades, $30, and oil change. Woman 3, 2015 Civic, 28,000 miles. Needed $620 in repairs. Emily needed nothing except oil change. Woman 4, 2013 Camry, 41,000 miles. Needed $1,380 in repairs, including transmission service. Emily, transmission fluid was clean and full. Needed nothing. Woman 5, 2016 CRV, 18,000 miles. Needed $780 in repairs. Emily needed nothing except oil change. Mike recommended $4,860 in unnecessary repairs across 5 cars that needed essentially nothing. We had him. Systematic fraud targeting elderly women. James Chen, the insurance investigator, helped us compile everything. My documented fraud, $35,000 to $50,000. Dorothy Chen's documented fraud, $40,000. 2 other known victims, $43,000 combined. 5 sting operation results, $4,860 in documented false recommendations. We also subpoenaed Mike's business records through an attorney. Mike's customer base, 73% women over age 65. That wasn't coincidence. Mike was specifically targeting elderly women. In September 2019, we presented everything to the San Diego County District Attorney's Office. The DA was impressed. This is one of the most thorough fraud cases I've seen from civilian victims. You've essentially investigated and documented the entire crime. The DA opened a formal investigation. They subpoenaed Mike's complete business records going back 7 years. What they found was staggering. Mike had been running this scam systematically for at least 8 years. His pattern: target elderly women, 73% of customer base. Build trust with fair pricing on initial simple services. Gradually increase frequency and cost of necessary repairs. Charge for premium services, synthetic oil, while providing cheap alternatives. Charge for major repairs. transmissions, timing belts, never actually performed. Install used parts while charging for new parts. Pressure customers by emphasizing safety and catastrophic failure prevention. The DA identified 43 victims over 8 years. Total estimated fraud, $780,000. Mike had stolen $750,000 from elderly women over 8 years. Mike was arrested in November 2019. Charges: grand theft, 43 counts. Elder abuse, 43 counts. Fraud, 86 counts. Conspiracy to commit fraud. He faced over 150 years in prison. Mike's attorney tried to negotiate. My client admits some services were improperly billed, but this was poor record keeping, not intentional fraud. The DA refused. Your client systematically targeted elderly women, lied about vehicle conditions, charged for services never performed, and stole nearly $800,000 over 8 years. This is textbook fraud and elder abuse. We're going to trial. The trial began in March 2020, right before COVID lockdowns. I testified as the primary victim and as an expert. Mrs. Anderson, you worked as an automotive engineer for 37 years at Ford Motor Company. Is that correct? Yes. And you trusted Mr. Patterson to maintain your vehicle because you didn't personally understand vehicle maintenance, correct? Correct. I design engines. I understand how they work, but I never learned to maintain them myself. That was my husband's job. After your husband died, you needed a mechanic you could trust. Yes, and I trusted Mike completely. Tell the jury what happened. Over 5 years, Mike told me my car needed constant expensive repairs, transmissions, timing belts, brakes, exhaust systems. I spent $67,000 total. Then my niece, who's an automotive technician, discovered that many of those repairs were never actually performed. Mike charged me but didn't do the work. He stole approximately $45,000 from me. The prosecutor showed the jury photographs of my car's transmission with original factory stamps, the original timing belt, the old brake pads. Mrs. Anderson documented every false repair scientifically. She used her engineering expertise to prove Mr. Patterson's fraud. Other victims testified. Dorothy Chen broke down, crying, describing how Mike stole $40,000 from her. The 5 women from our sting operation testified about Mike's false recommendations. Business records proved Mike's customer base was overwhelmingly elderly women. Security footage from Mike's shop showed him throwing away old parts that were actually new, never installing them on customer vehicles. The evidence was overwhelming. Mike's defense was weak. He claimed honest mistakes and miscommunication. The prosecutor destroyed that defense. Mr. Patterson, you charged Mrs. Anderson for a transmission replacement in 2018. The transmission in her car right now is the original factory transmission. How is that a miscommunication? Mike had no answer. The jury deliberated for 8 hours. Guilty on 172 counts. Mike collapsed. His wife ran from the courtroom. Sentencing was in August 2020. The judge was harsh. Mr. Patterson, you operated a systematic scheme targeting the most vulnerable members of our community, elderly women who trusted you to maintain their vehicles safely. You betrayed that trust. You lied to them. You stole from them. You put their safety at risk by not performing repairs you claim to have done. This is unconscionable criminal behavior. I'm sentencing you to 6 years in state prison, followed by 5 years probation. You will pay full restitution to all 43 victims. $780,000. Your business is permanently forfeited. You are banned from working in automotive repair for life. Mike Patterson was 54 years old. He'd be 60 when released, with no business, no career, and a felony record. His auto repair shop was seized and sold. The proceeds, approximately $340,000, went toward victim restitution. Mike's personal assets were seized: his house, cars, savings, another $180,000 for restitution. Insurance covered another $260,000. Total recovered $780,000. Full restitution to all victims. I received $48,000 everything Mike stole from me, plus court costs. Dorothy Chen received $40,000. All 43 victims received full restitution. Mike is currently 4 years into his 6-year sentence at Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego. He'll be released in 2026. No business, no career, a convicted felon who preys on elderly people. After the trial, I became an advocate. I started teaching free car basics for seniors classes at community centers. I'm Ruth Anderson, retired automotive engineer. I was scammed by my mechanic for $67,000 over 8 years. If it can happen to me, an engineer who designed engines, it can happen to anyone. Here's what you need to know. I teach elderly people how to get second opinions on expensive repairs, red flags indicating potential scams, basic car maintenance schedules, how to verify work was actually performed, when to demand itemized receipts with part numbers. I also work with the California Bureau of Automotive Repair, helping train investigators to recognize patterns of fraud targeting elderly customers. Mike Patterson thought elderly women were easy targets. We don't understand cars. We're trusting. We won't question mechanics. He was partially right. Many of us don't understand cars. Many of us are trusting. But he forgot that some of us spent 37 years designing the engines he claimed to repair. I didn't know how to change my own oil, but I knew exactly how to document engineering evidence, analyze technical specifications, and prove that work wasn't performed. Mike targeted the wrong elderly woman. I'm Ruth Anderson. I'm 75 years old. My mechanic scammed me for $67,000 over 8 years. He thought I was just another confused elderly woman who didn't understand cars. He forgot I was an automotive engineer who designed engines for Ford Motor Company for 37 years. I documented his fraud scientifically. I organized sting operations. I recruited other victims. I built the case that sent him to prison for 6 years. He wanted my money. I gave him a prison sentence and destroyed his business instead. 43 elderly women got their money back. Mike lost everything. That's what happens when you target an automotive engineer who knows exactly how to prove fraud. Mike is in prison. I'm teaching other seniors how to avoid scams. Justice served. The end. Subscribe for automotive justice.